Mondo Cool.
Terror of the Stratus, released in 2011 by Konami, went pretty much unnoticed. But regardless of its niche marketing in Japan, the game itself just did not get the following it needed in order to get the recognition it deserved. So in this episode of Import Insights, we will dabble into this game to see what we in the West missed out on. Was this game worth a complete pass for the Western market due to its slow sales in Japan? Or did Konami feel that this game might not sell as well in the West? So let's find out what Terror of the Stratus holds in terms of gameplay and storytelling. In order to get a good understanding of the game, it must be noted that Terror of the Stratus opens up with its grand animations to inspire an enriching story. These animations are of high quality and overall fits nicely in the right places as needed. That is not to say that the characters' portraits themselves are bad. In fact, they are just as excellent. What really surprised me was how well detailed they were as well, given that it's just still shots with some backgrounds in place while fleshing out the plot. Periodically, these still shots will change to a small animation in order to suit the given situation. Some sad faces, angry faces, or even happy faces will appear over several characters in the story. It's actually not half bad. Speaking of the plot, I had to look into this because being that it's an import game, it's not in English, but I have made it so that you guys know at least what the plot of the story is about. In the year of 2058, Tokyo was invaded by some form of aliens from outer space called Mimis. These creatures are of no substance, and they are beings of data that somehow transform themselves into physical form and for some time now have put the human race near extinction. In order to protect the human race, an organization was formed called the Imperial Task Force 6 in order to protect the human race when they were invaded. While a battle was being played out, a young character named Seshiro Kuden, who at the very beginning was forced into this ordeal, by which for this episode I won't spoil the reason, but just know it's a pretty epic one, is also joined by several who placed their lives in front of the gun in order to make sure life has some meaning on Earth. Now with that said, its overall plot reminded me of Evangelion. It has this near human-like extinction vibe going for it, and when you see the violence and epic fight scenes occurring, it's no wonder why I'm getting this type of vibe from it. Keep in mind, while there is more to its plot, like for example side story within the game, understanding characters' backstory, and its sense of humor, that does not take away from its gameplay, in which gives players two different styles of game modes in order to keep the overall gameplay experience fresh. The first part of the game will have players fighting in a side-scroll style action game that will involve the player swapping between three different characters on the field. Each character uses different styles of weapons that can affect each enemy differently, which from what I can see, let's add some variety to combat. For example, Nanase uses a gun to shoot enemies from long distance, while Usumi uses short blades and fights up close to enemies. While in this gameplay mode, players can also explore towns visited in the game in order to fight enemies and gain credits used to purchase new armor and equipment for either the characters or their Arabaki Mecha. Yes, you heard me right, mechs are also in this game. Mechs themselves are the second part of the gameplay. This mode will have you on a top-down view fighting the leader Mimis. These enemies are a bit difficult to fight and in most cases will require you to learn lore enemies' weaknesses in order to find an easy way of defeating them. The mechs while in this phase does have a decent assortment of attacks and can unleash some very powerful spells. But the downside in this form is that it's also very easy to die due to some weird overheating mechanic that I have not been able to figure out how it works properly. While this is happening, your characters do have a home base where they are able to purchase spells. Different vending machines will also allow for easy purchases, and side content can also be obtained from vendors as well in certain parts of the main story missions are released. Terror of the Stratus, from what I have played and from what I have researched, is filled with great content and an amazing storyline. I think this episode shows how important it is to mention games we import to the masses in order to get the word out there that there is a sleeper release that needs to come out to the West. Thank you guys for joining me on episode 2 of Import Insights. I am Forrest, and I will talk to you guys later.